Web. We call him Web, but it's Webster.
Web, W-E-B. Nice.
That's what we call him.
Nice.
I just
Nice.
watched the Key and Peele Noise.
Oh, dude, I was
today.
binging Key and Peele. I got a couple of them in my head. I feel like a really slept on one is where it's the Beef and Mediterranean restaurants across the street. You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen that one.
You gotta watch that. K-Bobby. You gotta watch that.
You turned me on to the when a scam artist tries to scam you. That's a good one.
Yeah, no. They got a couple really good ones, man. I just love how, what's his name, the bald one, I think that's Keegan Michael Key. I love how he can become any race so seamlessly. He can just become any ethnicity, like immediately. Like you put a wig on him, he's Native American. Next you give him a mustache, and then he's, Polish or whatever. It's like he could just become like give him a do rag, and then he's shooting dice. Like it's just crazy.
It is fascinating, and it is a superpower in a way, and I think a very important tool for actors who have it to use it often.
Well, see, we're on two different wavelengths of thought, because I'm thinking espionage, I'm thinking spy, I'm thinking like, imagine if he used his powers for evil, how many people he could fool.
And I'm thinking about him using his powers for good.
That Keegan Michael Key. Anyways, yeah, what's up? What we
Have you
talking
seen
about?
the Continental one?
Oh,
The Continental breakfast?
Dude, okay, so me and Tay, we were recently at a hotel. Dude, that's like our thing. Like anytime we're like looking at hotels or whatever, it's like oh, this one has the breakfast. Like, but is it Continental? That's like our thing. It's the Continental breakfast. It's like, if like, let's say like the breakfast is trash or whatever, it's not good. It's like, this breakfast was not Continental. They did not have the Danishes from Brussels or whatever.
I just love how much he is enjoying himself.
It's hilarious.
And that is when I spend good money on good food at a restaurant, that is me.
Yeah, but hold on though. The funniest part about the whole joint to me is the fact that, does anybody really know what Continental means in that context? Like, is anybody going around to like hotels and they're like, is your breakfast Continental? It's the Continental breakfast, right? Are you sure it's the Continental breakfast? Like, that's not a thing people do. It's just, we associate breakfast at hotels with the word Continental, and I just think that's funny.
Well, I think there really is something different between continental breakfast and complimentary breakfast.
You got me Googling everything. Here we go.
Here you are in your thumb portal.
Well, hold on. How about we start with like, what is continental breakfast? Yeah, let's do that. A light breakfast in a hotel includes baked goods, jam, fruit, and coffee. Okay, so it often includes baked goods, jam, fruit, and coffee, but it doesn't have to. So the next little suggestion is, what exactly is a continental breakfast? And it says a light morning meal typically consisting of pastries and baked goods, fruit, toast, and coffee. So we can pretty much go ahead and say that, like, if they have pastries, baked goods,
jam,
and jam, it's
fruit.
Well, I mean, fruit I feel like is damn near implied with breakfast in a lot of context, because you got to think.
In a lot of continents.
Well, oh, I see what you're doing.
On a lot of continents.
You're making a joke there.
I know. I'm only funny to myself. It's okay.
Yeah, no, but like, you go to IHOP, you order French toast or whatever, they gonna have a little fruit on the side or whatever. You order like crepes or whatever, they gonna have a little something. You know what I'm saying?
Are you gonna look up complimentary breakfast too?
Oh, my bad. I
While
got sidetracked. Complimentary just means free though, right? Do we have to look that up?
Yeah.
Complimentary breakfast. A free breakfast that is included with the price. So, okay, complimentary breakfast versus continental breakfast. Here we go. Thank you, Google. Let's go. Okay, a complimentary breakfast is a breakfast that is provided to guests at no extra cost, while a continental breakfast is a specific type of breakfast that usually includes bread, pastry, and what? That's not okay. So I guess with complimentary, it's like, whatever we got, you gonna eat it, nigga, because it's free. And then continental is like, you at least know we can expect pastries, coffee, jam. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the.
So if they call it complimentary, you're probably gonna get shafted.
Yeah, they gon' whatever they got. Like, I wish you would complain about this free breakfast. How dare you? This is a Motel 6.5. You know what I'm saying? Which, mind you, I don't even think they would have breakfast at a motel. But anyways, I digress. That's me and Tay's thing. We were like, oh, it's a Continental. Oh, it's Continental. A Continental breakfast. Just good times. Anyways,
I always like the church lady skit too. That's
I hate that skit.
Why you hate that one?
I hate how much anxiety and suspense it builds. Like it irritates me because I don't know, the whole thing just rubs me the wrong way. It's like, how dare you? Like, I don't know. I get it. It's funny. I get it, but it's not one of my favorites. I get what they try to do though. They executed it good. But yeah, and then, oh man, Key and Peele, they've got some sketches, man. They've got. Okay, can we talk about comedy? Can we do this real quick?
Why not?
Why not? Okay, so do you know how Key and Peele came to be, like this genre of sketch comedy?
No,
do you know who invented sketch comedy, like as we know it? All right, well, there's a fella by the name of Dave Chappelle. You ever heard of him?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, well, the Chappelle Show was really like the first, like, sketch comedy.
What year did that come out?
This is the early 2000s, I'm thinking.
I mean, but what about all of those, like, variety shows in, like, the 60s and 70s? Like, what about, I mean, I always think of SNL kind of being
Okay, so here's the thing.
Sketch comedy.
Here's the thing. It is, in a way. But I feel like what differentiates SNL from Dave Chappelle and Key and Peele is, like, the audience is kind of optional with Dave Chappelle. It's like they're just there. Like, he could have, performed in front of any random audience and it would not have mattered. Like, I don't know of anybody that's like, oh, we gotta go see the sketch show. Like, we're gonna go pay tickets to go see this live. Like, that's not really the appeal behind it. You get what I'm saying? As opposed to SNL, like, the whole point of everything is feeding off of the audience. Like, you're performing in front of this audience. They're not just like a prop,
That makes sense.
But hold on. The reason I even brought that up is because you got Dave Chappelle, early 2000s, and then you had Key and Peele. Are you familiar with what was in between as far as sketch comedy goes? My sister in Christ, whenever you get a chance, you must do your due diligence and check out The Whitest Kids You Know. They were a sketch comedy little collective that bridged the gap in between the Chappelle Show and Key and Peele. They are very underrated, very underappreciated.
I think I know The Whitest Kids You Know.
Yeah, their main guy, Trevor Moore, he recently passed away. I sent you do you remember that sketch where I think the caption was like, why I couldn't be a teacher, and he's just like,
yes,
going through all these like conspiracy theories with the kids or whatever. That's The Whitest Kids You Know.
Yeah, I do remember that from the days of hanging out in middle school at my friends' houses.
Yeah.
And those friends had laptops.
Yeah. Now,
YouTube.
From a sociological point of view, there's so much to learn from watching that, because it's like it's a really good example of how far our society has changed in not a lot of time. Because I guarantee you, none of this could air on TV today. None of it.
No.
Key and Peele is pushing it. The only reason them niggas get away with anything is because they both biracial. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason why they get away with anything.
Well, and once again, back to my point earlier, where it's like, if being ethnically ambiguous is something you've been blessed with, you got to use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
There's this great woman in New York. I believe her name is Sarah Jones, like one of the most generic names ever. But she does all of these one-woman shows and speeches, and I watched a TED Talk of her, and she became like 6 different people from 6 different places in the world in like 15 minutes. And it was
wow.
beautiful. And she was talking about growing up in New York. And she was like, yeah, I never understood why people were afraid of folks who didn't look like them, because at my family reunions we had Jewish people, we had Caribbean people, we had Iranian people. Like, it was, everyone was there. They were open-minded, you know. They were, I mean, ultimately all in the mixing pot of Brooklyn.
Oh, wow, yeah, that was, yeah. New Yorkers, they different. They different. They different.
Well, it's because once you, like you were sharing with me earlier, it's like, okay, two soldiers from different sides down in the trenches, they're able to see the humanity in each other. And it's like any foreigner who has a dream of going to America and making it in a big city is like they're in that armpit of a beautiful, glamorously weird, overstimulating city together. And so I feel like they can bond over that thing, that American dream they're chasing, rather than we pray differently or we eat differently.
Yeah. I'll give you that. And I sound a little bit pessimistic if I was to like pick out the nitty gritty details. So I'm not.
I wish you would.
Okay. Well, you know, this concept of like the American dream or whatever, it's all well and good. My problem is
It's changing.
More, well, yeah, definitely. But more times than not, a lot of times what happens is, people are given this idea that like America is like this mixing melting pot, blah 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 or whatever, and it is in certain places, in certain contexts, in certain spaces. But it's not uniform. America is not like this uniform place where everything is the same everywhere, you know? And sometimes that can get a little bit disheartening if you are a foreigner to this place. It can be very confusing as well. Imagine if you go to New York, right? New York City, for example, and you accept this as America. And then you're like, okay, bet, I just got me a job in Geraldine, Alabama. Let me get on the plane and go. And then you hold that to the same standards as your life is going to get turned upside down. So that's it. That's all.
Yeah. Also, as I said, the American dream in that whole explanation, I kind of vomited a little bit in my own mouth, because it's, you know, what is the American dream really? Because these days it looks like, you know, consume.
Well, I feel like that terminology, the American dream, like just that nomenclature, like by itself, is something that is very old. Something that comes from, it comes from a time where America kind of needed people coming over here and immigrating over here. That's kind of where that comes from. And now America is fine if nobody immigrates over here ever again. And so that's why I feel like that definition is changing. Because a lot of people feel like, you know, they're split when it comes to immigration or whatever. But that's what the American dream was. It was being sold to immigrants. Are you with me, Opie Renee?
Yeah, I'm closing my eyes and taking it in.
If I didn't know any better, I'd think that you were like praying or meditating or something.
Taking a nap.
I wasn't gonna say it. Y'all, it is late. It is a late one. But yeah, I'm trying to bully Opie Renee in here in the doing this little podcast episode or whatever. So yeah, we having a good time.
It's going to confuse people if you call me Opie Renee on stage.
I just know what the people got going on.
Yeah, but if they like me and they want to look me up, they aren't gonna find Opie Renee.
Okay, so what shall you have me do?
My name's Calliope Pettis.
You want me to call you Calliope Pettis every time I address you?
No, it's fine.
You ain't doing it right. That ain't fair.
I like it when you call me Miss Calliope on the stage,
but dude,
I'm just saying.
There's something about Opie Renee. You sound like somebody I grew up with from back home when I say Opie Renee. It just sounds like I didn't grow up with anybody named Opie, but it seems like if there was somebody in my childhood named Opie, they wouldn't be out of place. They wouldn't be like,
nah, they'd be barefoot in the forest.
I'm sure, but what I'm getting at is just like Opie Renee. It just flows off the tongue so well, especially when I'm speaking cornbread, especially when I'm speaking banjo. I was talking to the Tanzania homies earlier, and I was telling them about how like I consider myself a polyglot within the English language, and they were not having that right at all.
Why?
Well, because in their mind, it's like if you don't speak another language, you don't speak another language. And I was like, okay, bet. And I just started speaking in my native tongue, and they couldn't understand anything I was saying, like at all. And like there's some little pockets of the Tennessee Valley I could take you to where you can't understand nothing nobody's saying. There's some places off in Mississippi, bro. There's some places off in Georgia. Them folk get to talking, man. It's like, Lord have mercy. You need Google Translate, a Bible, and some holy water just to get directions to the nearest Walmart. It's crazy. But yeah. You quiet. What's up?
I have so much to say, but I'm
Say
not
it.
sure
Say
which is most important to say.
We ain't prioritizing nothing. Talk your damn shit.
I don't have as much shit to talk as you. I'm refusing to admit that I'm tired right now.
I'm declaring victory. I told you. I done told you. I could well, okay, so what's up? Where we at? Where we at with it?
I mean, we've just been bullshitting for like a good 20 minutes.
Well, do you want to talk about what we've been doing?
We want to kick it off. We want to do the official kickoff.
Yeah. Well, wait. Before you do that, what were you talking about when I was like, it was your song. When you were talking about the through composition. You left me hanging on that. I want to know about that.
I did leave you hanging on that. So when I hear songwriting, I think verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. I think of creating something lyrically and melodically and rhythmically that is packaged in a way that is marketable to people. And so when I say I'm done writing songs, what I mean is like I want to write compositions and poetry. I'm not interested in if people get it or understand it or like it as much as I am like, how do I dig deep and find something honest? Because I'm not finding honest things within the structure of songs.
I feel
right
what you're
now.
saying so much. Before it did not make sense. Now that makes total complete sense. But and this isn't me even trying to like, I'm not necessarily trying to like butt heads with you, but like maybe just peel back the layers a little bit with like why do we do these things? Why do we do a chorus? Why do we do a bridge? Why? Who said? Who made these rules? And it's like I feel like when you look for the answers to these very simple questions, maybe you find that more times than not there might be a little bit of hidden power in repetition. There might be a little bit of what's the word? I'm trying to look for a more sophisticated word than magic, but like, there's some grit there sometimes. There's some.
Well, especially if someone is hearing or experiencing something for the first time and they don't know you and they don't know your story, it's like, oh, there's that familiar thing. Like I can trust them because they're consistent.
It's weird you would associate it with trust, because in my mind, I feel like you gotta trust your audience more to just do one of those through composed songs. You know what I'm saying? But also it's like the way you play guitar is so like folky and like not what you would think. Like the way you play guitar isn't what I think of when I think like pop song. You know what I'm saying? So it's already in that same realm of like something that could be like through composed and whatnot. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's some power in repetition and choruses and like.
I agree.
I think it's just a little bit deeper than surface level, because like if this is something that we just do and nobody has questioned why we do it, why we write choruses to songs, then it's probably a little bit more divine than we think. You know what I'm saying? It's probably a little bit more
Well,
layered and connected to something beyond our understanding.
I definitely know that when I'm reading back through old notebooks, or if I'm just singing songs in my head and something pops back up again, I'm like, oh, that song is asking for me to write it. That
Oh,
song
you're
needs
on
to be
that?
finished.
That's crazy. That's
Does that happen to
crazy.
you?
No, no.
Hmm.
Well. My rapper brain might see like let's say that I was trying to write like some bars and then I only write like four. A lot of times what will happen is like I might take 4 bars from that I started here in hodgepodge and with 4 bars I started somewhere else and I might make that like an intro and an outro.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like my songwriter composition brain, no. Like if I'm writing a song, I kind of have to do it, or else if it's incomplete, then it's incomplete. Job,
Mm-hmm.
it's a perfect example. That song is not done, but I don't think it's supposed to be.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? There's a couple joints like that where it's like,
Well, the
this is
feeling
all
of
I got.
incompleteness within the song says so much.
Right.
Also.
Right. Absolutely.
And in a way, oh man, my brain's firing all cylinders in all different directions right now. But there is something about you don't want to give your audience all the answers. Like you don't want to, someone told me once, like, don't insult your audience. Don't spell everything out for them. Like leave a little bit of mystery in there for them to have their own experience with the composition.
Okay, I get it. Right.
That's one direction.
This is complicated for me to talk about in particular because you're talking to somebody who vast majority of the time I feel like the itty bitty audience that your boy has when it comes to people that are actually listening to my lyrics, I feel like more times than not they are not fathoming what I'm saying. They're not realizing, they're not comprehending what I'm saying, right?
They assign their own meaning to it.
Well, hold on now. There's the few people that do understand and fathom and realize, and those are the people that are usually like, what are you doing? They're just like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? That's kind of the energy I get from them, because it's like they see and understand that like the vast majority of the people around, like they don't understand what I'm saying. Me and Dobby had this conversation a little while ago. Not to segue too much, but it's like, yeah, don't treat your audience like they're dumb by any means. Don't spell everything out for them. But it's like going back to the context of songwriting. It's like, who says you can't have a 1-minute song? Who said that? Who said you can't have a 45-minute song? And it's just let's say you sat down and you tried to write a song. You tried your damnedest, right? And you couldn't get no more than 8 lines. Guess what? It's done. Like that's all it's meant to be. Who says you have to? Because my thing is like, anytime I get to a point where I'm trying to force these things into becoming, projects or ideas or songs that are bigger than it don't work. It ends up becoming too tedious and it becomes just treacherous. Why are you laughing?
You said tedious.
You still laugh at that word? How old are you?
I say tedious.
Did I say tedious?
You said tedious.
That's just my accent. It's my accent. I can't help it. Tedious. I was just saying it fast. This is how I talk. The old folks when I remember, they say tedious.
Tedious?
I ain't lying. There's an old hymn. I want Jesus to walk with me, and then they say, while I'm on my tedious journey. I swear, that's what they say.
I mean, and that's another beautiful part about songwriting is that you can change the number of syllables and the quality of vowels if you want to use a particular word.
Yeah, it makes some people mad though.
They
be like, that didn't rhyme.
Oh yeah, all those grammar Nazis out there.
That really gets on my nerves. Coming from somebody that speak how I speak, you know what I'm saying? What did I rhyme the other day? I was listening back to something on SK4. I rhymed the word I rhymed the word fool with though. Though. Like THOUGH and fool. I rhyme those two words. Because I can. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah. Foe. I can do that. You know what I'm talking about because it's context. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, no, that drives people crazy sometimes. They hate that. It's like, yeah, if you speak. Yeah, and here's another thing. We as English speakers, as a songwriter, I feel blessed and fortunate to be an English speaker, right? Because we have so much we can. Because this language is so broken and like you can do whatever you want within it, right? Because like the people that are from England, like right now that live in England, they don't speak proper English. They don't even enunciate half their words. You know what I'm saying? But if like we do it as Southerners, and it's like, oh, they're barefoot and don't have education, right?
There's this pop song that was partially written in German, and it really took off. And I was reading up about it one day, and it was like, this song is responsible for an entire generation of German speakers pronouncing Dankeschön. Dankeschön.
Oh.
Dankeschön.
Got you.
And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it the quote-unquote right way.
Well,
but the further we can move away from the right way and being so hell-bent on things being the way that we're used to them being, I think...
I don't know, man. Some of that shit cringy. I was trying to figure out where the Brits got tuna from.
Tuna? Tuna with the CH in it?
Tuna. That's how they say it. I was watching a video. It was a bunch of, like, British college kids or something, and they were like, why do y'all say tuna? And they're like, how else would you say it? And, like, tuna. And they're like, no, bloody no. It's like, yes. Why? But since when does T-U-N-A become C-H-U-N-A?
Well, think about it. Think about
it.
These
are proper English speakers, bro.
Think about it. Just do this for me.
I don't see how you mix those up ever. Tuna.
But it's the sensation.
Tuesday.
The sensation is the tip of the tongue touching the back of the teeth, and the only difference is the shape of your lips. Tuna.
Tuna on Tuesday. I'm sorry. Hey, yo, if you're British and you're listening to this, whatever you see, you can be. Are you still on this right now?
Yes, I'm entertaining myself.
I was about to give British people permission to crash out on me. I taught Calliope the definition of crash out today. That was fun.
I already forgot.
It's okay. It's toxic. It don't matter in the long scheme of things. But yeah, no, it's like, and here's another thing, like the way that people spoke English 200 years ago is already so drastically different than how we speak English now, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go 300 years, 400 years. By the time you go 500 years back, you're already like that's King James version of the Bible, and that is close to, like, nobody speaks that. Nobody can, you know what I'm saying?
I think what is correct is less important than what's honest.
Elaborate.
On what's true.
What do you mean? In vernacular.
I'm thinking about just human expression in general.
Oh, yeah.
And how much of it is beyond language and beyond words and beyond punctuation and spelling.
Yeah, no. That's why I can't. I'm an awful texter. That's why I'm always calling people. Because people always got me all kinds of twisted and confused via text. Because it's like, you can't get my voice and my inflections and my facial expression.
And you refuse to use emojis.
Well, no. Don't get it twisted. Like, my emojis are a huge part of communication, but there's very few people in my life to where it's like I feel like even using emojis to express myself around. You know what I'm saying? It's like I would just much rather you hear the tone of my voice. That way you, like, for example, I was talking to Nick Reeds. Nick, what's good? If you're hearing this, what's happening? I can't text that man ever, because he always he always thinks that whatever I'm talking about is in like a very neutral tone or either like a negative tone, just because like that's how his mind is wired. And I'm never talking like that. I'm never on that type of time.
Yeah,
and
you're
so,
always very enthusiastic.
Yeah, so I just have to call him and be like, hey, because like I roast my friends a lot.
Man.
And it's always in a playful way. But if I text the things that I would roast, they look vicious. It looks terrible. I look like an evil person. But if I said it to you in person, then it's like, oh, he just Cash playing around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally. And Nick and we're very sensitive people.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. That's why I don't like to text y'all.
Shout out to Nick Reed's. Man, we recorded a whole bunch of the Miss Calliope songs at Dark Horse with him. And before that, we recorded some of the things on SK5.
No, stop doing that. You keep doing that. You always trying to fast forward into the future. It's 4. SK4, bro. SK4 ain't come out now, in case you're listening to this and you're like, oh, what? Did we miss the SoulKast? No, it's just a monstrosity of a project and it's taking forever and a day, but it's on the way. So, yes. What were you saying? Before I rudely cut you off.
Just that I'm a sensitive person.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, we gotta finish SK4, man. Are we going to talk about SK4?
Man, let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Where do I start? Like, it's such a monstrosity. That's the word that I keep finding myself using to describe it. It's a like the first 3 Soul Carnival albums that are in existence now. We're talking like 10, 11 tracks. Mm-hmm. Like I feel
this
like
is side A, side B type stuff.
Yeah,
we're dealing with.
Yeah, we're dealing with a double album, and I don't know. I was talking to my boy Danny. Shout out Danny Hascombe. He's a tour manager for this cover band out in Birmingham. I think they're a cover band. I'm not sure what they do actually, but he's an incredible engineer. Like awesome ear.
Studio engineer.
No, this man does everything.
Live sound.
Live.
What does he specialize in?
Making money. What are you talking about? What you mean? What does he specialize in? Dude, Danny can do it all. He's one of the most talented, like, people I've met when it comes to just sound in general.
Yeah.
Because like I've sat down and stared at this man's DAW and watched him break down, cut samples up and blah 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 blah, and then it's like I'm also seeing him like sit behind like a brand new top of the line mixing board and just have a live band in front of him and make him sound like gold. So he's just on all ends of that, right? But I was talking to Danny about the album, and he was like, how did y'all end up with so many songs, and how did it end up a double album? And I don't know. I really don't know, because at some point I put my hands up and I said, I'll let good Lord take the wheel, and somehow we ended up here. And it's like, it didn't seem like it. It didn't seem like we sat down and we were like, okay, let's write 30, 40 something songs. No, it's not what happened. It just, one minute we were at Dark Horse with like, 6 or 7 songs? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we did one really long session at Lucas's place over in Fort Payne, Lucky Sound. Shout out Lucas. By the way, if y'all see Lucas running around with like a gray hair and his beard or something, like we did that. We definitely did that. But I think we did like 10 songs at Lucas's, and we went from having like 6 or 7 songs to like 17 songs, and that was a huge jump. Mm-hmm. And we've just been adding little stuff here and there, and before you knew it, like here we are, monstrosity. But I'm really doing my part to I want this to be something bigger than Soul Carnival. Like I want to make something that like this scene, this area, like the state even can be proud of, because it's like I want to put people from all different crevices and corners of music on this thing together. Like I want to put people who would never be in the same room together on the same track. That's my goal. I want to go get my niggas that got felonies and face tattoos, and I want to go put them on the same track as like a Chuck King, like
Mm.
my former perfect. Like that's the kind of shit I'm trying to do because I'm trying to do something that can't nobody else do. And at the end of the day, I feel like my biggest flex as a musician ain't how good I play. It's not how great my voice is or none of that. It's who I have met along the way. Like who I've brushed shoulders with. And that's what I'm trying to flex. I'm trying to flex like longevity, like how long we've been out here, how many people we've connected with, and like trying to put that on a pedestal more so. And so it's like, yo,
hell yeah,
we got a string session Sunday. Saxophone sessions are done. We let's see, man, all the different people that's on this is crazy. Like shout out Shanks. I got my boys from Montevallo on this thing. I got people from JSU on this thing. It's just turning into something bigger than what I feel like we originally had planned. But it all goes back to this convo I had with Sponge. And it was right after I talked to you about the album release show at the camp, SK3, right? And I feel like, you know, I was kind of picking your head a little bit, and you felt like it went good and blah, 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 and you were pleased with the album and everything. And then I felt like there's a little bit of post-show, I ain't going to call it depression, but it's something parallel to what those theater people feel after they do a big show. It's something similar because it's like, okay, now what? You know what I'm saying? And I was having that now what convo with Sponge, and he broke my heart. He was just like, if this don't turn into something, this has to manifest into something. This has to. And it's like, he was saying this not because the music wasn't good. And that's what was breaking my heart. He was saying like, hey, we got to do something different. Not because we're not playing good enough. Not because we're not writing good enough songs. But because the results aren't reflecting. Right? And that hit me in my gut, yo. And I was just like, cool. We gotta do something that just makes an impact that's so huge that it can't be denied at this point. And that's the goal.
Well, that's something I've noticed about Soul Carnival from the very beginning, is just how beautiful the community around the music is. And what I see happening with this album is that community getting larger, the web weaving together more and more. And I just gotta say, I love seeing you in the studio and the way you direct. It's been, you know, college level course for me to really take in what that looks like. What? To be, seriously, to be a director and how to communicate with people to get their best work out of them. But before you can do that, you have to create an environment where they feel relaxed and, you know, able to be themselves, because you don't get people's, you know, most beautiful gifts captured unless they feel like they're totally accepted and welcome.
Wow. I never even would have thought about it like that.
Well, it's just your second nature.
Nah. It's a nature. It might be like fourth or fifth. I don't know about second, because it's like, yo, that's me firing on all cylinders in the studio. And it's like, I've got a love-hate relationship with the studio, because like actually doing it is...
Oh, you're frantic as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. But the reward of like listening back and when it's all done, like nothing is...
I guess you were so surrendered to the music and to the process of what wants to be created. And so it's like this experience almost of you like opening yourself up wide for some shit to like channel through, and then you translate that to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of a time warp when you're in the studio. You know, it's like you lose touch with the 3D space-time reality that we are so accustomed to, so that we can reach into other dimensions. And
maybe that's because we're capturing time. You're stealing little bits of time. You know what I'm saying? That's really what the studio is. You know. But nah, like I I do everything I can to like prep myself for the studio, but like no matter what, it always I always end up just flying by the seat of my pants, and and it seems like that's the energy that and see that's another thing about SK4. It's like it ain't no turning back from here because now I realize how fast we can create fire songs. I've realized, it's like, we could just go to the studio and just make shit. Like once that cheat code has been activated, it's like, yo, there's so much more I want to do. But man, those joints that ended up being accidental. I told you about the whole Muck and Mire thing, right? How like we had that song that was a jam sesh. It started out as just like a jam sesh with me on piano, Sponge on bass, Brax on drums, and we tried to record the piano and the drums simultaneously. It sounded like garbage, and so Lucas just screwing around. He like muted the drum mics, and we were like, "Wait, hold on, put some EQ on that. Wait a minute, boost the mids." And we discovered if you record like piano and drums where they're placed through the same microphone and you just boost the levels up a little bit, it sounds like this old vintage pre-Motown even like jazzy kind of sound you get, right? And that in combination with those gospely ribbon mic joints, the Miss Pam's Purse and the MLK Church fans, like that's how that came about. That was all just accidental, flying by the seat of our pants, pressing knobs, turning buttons, and whatever. I said pushing knobs and turning buttons, pushing knobs and turning buttons. Let's go.
Pushing tobs and burning tuttons.
Wow. Hold on. Talk to me, man. Talk to me. What's going on with you? You've got like this haze over you. You've got like this glow over you. You look like you can.
I'm so excited. I loved hearing you talk about this album, and I have loved being present in the studio for the parts that I have. And I'm also just like, oh yes, like full presence with the creative process. Like no attachment to outcomes. And that's the thing. You were just talking to me about the conversation you had with Sponge after number 3 got released. There's some juxtaposition happening here because it's like we got to do something different so the results are reflected back, but then simultaneously you get in the studio and you're not attached to any results. You are like fully surrendered to the process. And I think when the more you can surrender to the presence and the playfulness to the creative process, the more you will be met on the other side with everything you need to continue creating. Because if it is what you were meant to do on this planet, a way will be made.
Yeah, I reckon Night to find the way you use that surrender word on account. I don't like giving up to anything.
Well, I mean,
but
surrender's
I get
not.
what you mean. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It don't sit right with my soul.
It's a word you don't have positive reaction to. I mean, it's not to say you don't take initiative or seek out opportunities or put yourself out there. Another way I'm really excited for us to be putting ourselves out there that reflects something different, different plan of action will hopefully yield different results, is getting out of town more. So we're just slowly starting to branch out.
Well, I feel like as individuals there's levels to how much we try. Like me and you, obviously we were everywhere all the time, bouncing around like crazy, right? And then it's like, what else? Like you got Dobby on the opposite end of the spectrum, who's like, he's staying put, man. It's like you gotta force him to like get outside of his little bubble. And then you got Brax, who's also everywhere all the time, traveling everywhere, because of the cover band situation. And it's like, I feel like we gotta figure out how to make, Dobbs understand that we can find a Huntsville somewhere else.
Mm.
As far as a crowd of people who, because Huntsville has so much sentimental value to us, because this is the first place where we ever looked out and saw a crowd, and they're like, you know, not only are they engaged in singing the words, like they mean that shit, you know. And so it's like we just got to go and find more Huntsvilles. You know what I'm saying? Because they're out there, you know. You sleepy? You tired?
No, I'm thinking about the approach of like you gotta throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I understand the frustration of like turning your wheels and working so hard and not seeing any results. And so I used to have this frantic attitude whenever I approached my creativity, and I never made anything good in those periods of life.
This is another place where I feel like we're having opposite in goals here, or not in goals, but we're having opposite results, because like I feel like a lot of my best work and best compositions, lyrically especially, come from that kind of energy. A lot of the things that I'm pulling from as far as emotions is uncertainty, that frantic energy, that you know, that's kind of now don't get me wrong, it's not the only source that I'm drawing from, but it's almost like, okay, think about it like this. Let's make this parallel. As a songwriter, emotions are colors. Okay, and your canvas is, you know, you got your basic primary colors, right? Your red, blue, and yellow. Now, let's say that translates to like really base level emotions. What's an emotion that even a baby can feel? It's like first thing you do when you come into this world is cry. First thing you do. I was listening to Albert King describe the blues, and he was like, everybody got the blues at some point. When you was a baby and you were crying and you didn't know why you were crying, that was the blues. Now, of course, it was because you were hungry or uncomfortable or whatever the case may be. But you don't know. You have this feeling. You don't know how to express it, so you cry. That's the blues, you know. And then it's like you can draw from that, and you can paint a beautiful blue picture with just the color blue if you wanted to. But you could also just paint the sky blue, or just the water blue, or just the, you know. And then it's like you also got your red, and let's say that could be, you know, for all intents and purposes, we could just say that that's like, it could be sadness or anger or what, just a simple emotion that everybody feels, right? And then you have these more complicated emotions that are harder to pinpoint, like betrayal. Like that's a very complicated emotion. There's a little bit of anger. There's a little bit of sadness. There's a little bit of, you see what I'm saying? Like there's more, and so that might be like a fuchsia or a magenta or like a, hell, I don't know, a scarlet, something that's on the border of some colors, right? And so as sometimes I feel like when I'm writing, I'm trying to create really complex emotions that are difficult to explain if you haven't felt them. Like if you've never been betrayed before, it's very difficult to explain what betrayal feels like. You get what I'm saying?
And if you've never known peace before, it's really hard to experience peace.
Oh, that's real. You talking to somebody who grew up with 3 sisters, 3 brothers. Dude, I remember the first time in my life, as an adult, I was in an empty house. That I couldn't wrap my mind around that. It was crazy. But yeah. So it's like, especially with this new music, I'm trying to channel these complex emotions. My favorite of these complex emotions is Joy in the Morning. Are you familiar with the song I'm talking about? This is the one that has the no. Hold on. I was singing, no.
You were singing 19 going on 67.
How does it go? Damn. It's the one where y'all were oohing in the beginning, but anyways, Joy in the Morning, MOURNING. So this is about finding a positive in somebody's death. It's about learning from grief. It's about growing from, you know, whatever has been taken away. that's a very complex, mature thing. So
Yeah,
like
I think
Soul
we're
Carnival some years ago, I couldn't tackle no shit like that.
I think we're talking about the same thing. We're just using different words to describe it. And it could also be because I'm tired. What I meant about turning your wheels and getting nowhere is like trying to make the art the business.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I most definitely just got off onto a tangent.
What you're talking about, yeah, like with all, it's like I'm willing to work hard and to dig deeper and to like, to toil and to investigate and really really face some challenging things in order to like bring to light this beautiful piece of art.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm willing. Here's the way I like to put it. I want to be a servant to my craft, not a slave to my mind.
Lord have mercy, Jesus. Woman, you just said something right there. You need to put that on a t-shirt or something. I ain't lying. Real talk, you need to put that on a t-shirt or a hoodie or something like that. Did you just come up with that?
That's something I've said to myself before.
You need to write that down. I'm glad.
I got it. It's in the noggin. It's deep in there.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Maybe I should write it into a song. Who knows?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's one of those phrases that pops up. Another one that pops up is, I'd rather be prolific than perfect. And I feel like, would you identify with that?
Yeah, I've been giving up on perfect.
Well,
perfection.
that's something I love so much about working with you and with Soul Carnival and in the studio in any capacities. I can get so in my head about making things perfect and polished, and it's not important. It's not honest. It's
yeah. Well, because I'm not trying to capture perfect. I'm trying to capture a certain energy. I'm trying to capture a certain feeling, a certain vibe, and it's never perfection.
And I wanna bring it full circle to something I said earlier in this conversation about this very specific phrase regarding it was on the tip of my tongue and then it went, but it'll come back in just a second, about being right. I would associate being right with being perfect. And I would associate being honest and truthful with the thing we were just saying about just capturing what's raw.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like at the end of the day, like I've gotten to a point now where it's like I understand my place in musicianship. I'm not the fastest shredder. I'm not the greatest rapper. I'm not the best saxophone player. Like I don't do my due diligence and practice the scales like I should. And that's not what I do. I understand that like I'm trying to make the best music to the people that want to hear music from us, right? So I'm trying to channel music, point blank period. I'm trying to compose. That's my goal here, right? And so it's like I'm not trying to get in my head about being perfect or being the greatest musician or whatever, because like all the people that I've ever seen, and this is truly a blessing to me, and I feel so blessed to say this, but like all the most talented musicians I've ever been around in my life that they just blow my mind. They want to kick it with me. They want to hang out with me. They want to jam. They want to, you know what I'm saying? And that is a blessing and an honor. So it's like, who cares? Like, I'm not trying to be better than Mac. Mac want to pull up and jam. I'm not trying to play piano better than Joe. I'm shouting out Camacho right now, but it's like they want to pull up. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, to bring that part full circle, as far as the perfection thing goes, it's like, man, I really want to prioritize efficiency, and Sponge, of course, balances me a little bit on that, because if it's just trash, of course, Sponge is going to veto. But like, yo, there's a lot of times in the studio where it's like I'm so like I've got such tunnel vision going on in my mind to where we don't have time to perfect things and it still have that raw, whatever. You're done. I lost you.
No,
you're 86.
my computer screen went off. I had to touch it to wake it up.
You was just closing one eye. What? So are you sleeping with one eye at a time? Is that what's going on?
You're giving me a hard time, and I am like I'm doing my best to be present over here.
The only reason I'm giving you hell is because you were like, "Oh, I stayed up till 3 a.m. watching I Love Lucy." And
I didn't say I watched I Love Lucy.
The joke is your grandma. That's the joke. See,
you know me. I need you to explain why things are funny half the time.
When you explain it, it's not funny, and then you laugh, and then I get mad because I had to explain my good ass joke. That's crazy.
Okay, so balancing efficiency with tunnel vision. I want to bring it back for a hot second to why all of the best players want to kick it with you.
Well, and I don't mean me in particular, but like the
I know what you meant.
Music we trying to make.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
And I just want to bring in that word that you don't like again. Surrender.
Okay.
And equate that somehow, tie it all together with just this deep presence you're able to have with people, because that's what people feel and experience in your presence, and that's why they want to be around you. It's there's something special about it, but I'm too tired to make it make
sense. The thing is, you started giving me like a palm reader vibe whenever you were saying these things and your eyes were closed. And I was getting a little bit uncomfortable. I was like, "Yo, what's going on? I ain't signed up for this, man." But yeah, no, it's a blessing and an honor, man. Like all the people that like I'm just really just like it just blow my mind. It's like, yo, they want to. It's like I am worthy in their eyes to be in their presence. So it's like, why would I care about who's better? It's like, no,
because it's not a competition anymore, and I think that's what the idea with this fourth album is. It's like I'm not trying to take people away from the show you're throwing the same night as me. Like I'm trying to show one big show together, which brings us to Soul Macho. We gotta talk about this a little bit, but maybe should we save it for the next episode, because we have been going for an hour.
Well, is it an hour exactly?
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got enough gas for Soul Macho.
I know. We're just a little teaser here. Soul Macho.
Well, yeah, it was. See, I'm strategic, man. I was already trying to tease it a little bit. That's why I was shouting out Joe and Magnum, and I was going to.
I know, but I'm too tired to be strategic, and you're making fun of how tired I am, and so I was just ruining the surprise.
I wasn't even making fun.
You were opening the present slowly and beautifully, and I was like, I just got to rip this thing to shreds.
Yeah. Well, Soul Macho. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. To be continued. Yeah. Oh man, I've always wanted to say to be continued. Oh man, that brings back some good nostalgic memories. What's up? We trying to stick a fork in it? What's happening?
We're sticking a fork in it.
Sticking a fork in it?
Yeah. What the fork?
Hell, do it to it then.